All right, good evening, class. Today we're going to work on the last day of Chapter 3, Lesson 1, and I'm guessing you're probably going to figure out that we're going to be working with mixed numbers this time. So first we had whole numbers and fractions, then we had two fractions. Now we're going to have either a fraction and a mixed number or two mixed numbers. So let's get right to it. Steps for dividing mixed number. Obviously, first you got to write the problem down. Second thing you need to do is you need to change the mixed numbers to improper fractions. How do you do that? Well, you should know how to do that, but if you don't, let's review. You multiply these two numbers together, 8 times 1, and then you add the numerator, which gives you 9, and the bottom number stays the same, so now it's 9 over 8. This one, 2 times 4 is 8, plus 2 is 10. So you have 10 over 4. So now we have, just like the problems we were working yesterday, we got two fractions. So there's just one extra step involved, and that's changing those mixed numbers to improper fractions. So now let's change it to a multiplication problem. 9a stays the same, obviously. Third day, we should know this, that the division problem becomes multiplication, and we multiply by the reciprocal. So now it's 9 over 8 times 4 over 10. We multiply those two numbers together. 9 times 4 is 36. 8 times 10 is, I don't know why I don't have my 80 there, but let's throw it in there so we have it. So we have 36 over 80. Now, remember, oh, that's because it's on the next step. That's why I got too far ahead of myself. So multiply the denominators, 36. 8 times 10 is 80. Use the ladder method to simplify. They're both even, so we divide by 2. 36 divided by 2 is 18. 80 divided by 2 is 40. It's still even. 18 divided by 2 is 9. 40 divided by 2 is 20. So our 9 and 20 cannot be reduced any further, so our answer is 9 over 20. And we are good to go because we have the top number is smaller than the bottom number, and we've got it reduced to simplest form. So really just one extra step. Right? So let's practice. Let's practice. So 1 times 8 plus 2 is 10 over 8. Okay, I'm going to keep it a division problem. Let's not change it. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. 2 times 4 is 8 plus 1 is 9. So we got 9 over 4. And I really don't like changing the sign until after. It's after you have two fractions. That way you know that you're not going to forget to switch this around. So 10 over 8. Change it to a multiplication problem. Now let's flip 4 over 9. We can multiply the top numbers. 10 times 4 is 40. 8 times 9 is 72. So one thing we got going for us is the top number is smaller than the bottom number, so it's not improper. But we do have to see if it can be reduced. And if you look at it right away, you should be able to tell that they're both even, so we can reduce. So once again, you can pick any number you want. I'm just going to keep it simple here. Go with 2 because they're both even. 20. 72 divided by 2 is 36. They're still both even, so let's do it again. By 2. 20 divided by 2 is 10. 36 divided by 2 is 18. And we do it again. So they're still even. 2, 5, and 9. So there we go. Now we got it reduced to simplest form. When we get it down there, that's going to be your answer. So it's going to be, answer is going to be 5 over 9. Now, a lot of you are going, oh, why didn't you just pick a different number? Why go through all these steps? Well, what I'm trying to get across to you is that if you don't know, if you can't figure out a factor that goes into both of them, you can always do what's even. If I was actually looking at this, I can tell you that I knew that 40 and 72, I would have started with 8 right off the bat, and that would have gotten me answer 5 over 9. But if you don't know, that's why it's helpful to just go with the even numbers if you're struggling to find a number. Let's do one more. So we got 3 times 6 is 18, plus 2 is 20, over 6. Keep in mind, I'm not changing it to a division problem yet. 3 times 4 is 12, plus 3 is 15. Over 4. So now that we have two fractions, let's switch it. 20 over 6. And we change to a multiplication problem. We do 4 over 15. Now, I think we're getting to the point where I want to show you one other thing that you can do. I told you that you can multiply the top, you can multiply the bottom, but you can also reduce before. If you look at 6 and 4, what they have in common is 2. 4 divided by 2 is 2. 6 divided by 2 is 3. And if you look at 20 and 15, you can divide them both by 5. So that makes that 3, and 20 divided by 5 is 4. Now we have some smaller numbers. We're not dealing with such big numbers, and you got 8 over 9. Now, just because you do this doesn't necessarily mean that this is in simplest form. It does happen to work out in this case that this would be your answer, but still make sure that you plan on checking to see if your answer is in simplest form. That's it. Tomorrow in class, we're going to finish this section up, page 76, 77, 7 to 8, 17 to 18, 23, 26, and then we're going to do some word problems. So everybody get a good night's sleep, bring your materials to class, and have a good night.